In this video we're just going to show a basic way that you can pass variables between different scripts in Unity. So I'm going to use the example here of a bullet and a health system. So I've just set up on here, it's just a button I can press to call a function to say there's been a hit, and then I want to update the health and display that on the screen. So I've just got two game objects here. I've got health, which I've attached a health script to, and then a bullet, which I've attached a damage script to. So we'll set the damage to 10. You'll see what I've done there in a second. So if we have a look at these scripts, so we have here the health script. All I've done is set up a private integer there, which is the value for the health. I've set up already just a text here, and we're just updating that in the update health function, which I've added. There's nothing else in this function at the moment, it doesn't do anything else currently. And then attached to the bullet game object, I've got this damage script, which all I've done is set up a field that I can show in the inspector just to allow me to set the damage value that I want to deduct from the health. So what I want to set up here is when I call this hit function, which I'm doing just with this button just to show as an example, I want to pass the value of the damage over into the health script and then update the health and take that value away from the health, so the text updates. So all we're going to do is very simply when we call the function to hit, we just want to pass this value through into this function, and then we want to update the health. So if I first of all find a game object of type, I'm just going to find the health script, and there's different ways you can do this. There's quicker, more efficient ways, but this is just very basic as an example. We're going to find that, and the function I've declared in there is update health. So we found the function. So when I press the button hit, we'll find this and call this function in the health script here. You can see at the moment all it does is just display the health as text there. So what we really want to do is pass this variable through to it. So how do we do that? So in the health script, when I update the health, the value that I want to pass in is that integer value. So we can put in the brackets here in the parentheses the argument that we want to accept. So it's an integer, and we're just going to call it damage. So we're declaring that in the script, so we're calling it damage. It doesn't have to match what you're going to call it in here. So I'm going to pass damage to take over here, but you don't have to call it the same thing. You're naming it in the script. And then all I want to do within the health function is just take that value away from the health. So if we do health, which is the variable I've set up here, minus equals, and then the damage that we've just declared there. So when this is passed through, it's going to accept an integer, which we're calling damage. It's going to take that away from the current health value and then update the text here. So how do we pass that value to it? So we've called the function from the health script here, updating the health, but you can see it's underlined there, we're not passing anything through to it yet. So all we have to do to pass this value is just give that integer into the parentheses, into the brackets here. So we're going to pass it the damage to take value, which is what we've set up here. So upon calling this, it will find the health script, call that function for update health, and pass it the damage to take value, which we're setting here. And I've configured this so I can change it in the inspector, so that's something we can show in a moment. It'll then pass that value through into here. Now it needs to be the same type of variable, so we're passing an integer in, and it's expecting to accept an integer in here. You can do it with float if you just need to make sure they match. You can do it with ball, string, different types of variable. So we're passing that through, and then we're deducting that. So if I save this now, and then we can see that in action. So if I run this, and if I press hit, so when I'm pressing hit, we're calling this hit function, which is then passing the value of the damage state through into the health, updating the health here, and then we're displaying it. So you can see every time I hit that, it's taking 10 off the health there. If I change it to 5 and run this again, you can see it's now deducting 5. So that's passing the variable between the two scripts. So another way we could do this would be to declare a function, declare a method which returns a value, an integer value, which in this case would be the health. So we could then call that function from a different script, and that would pass the value across. It would return that integer. So if we make it a public function, so we can call it from the script as we did before from the other script, and then we want to return an integer, and we'll just call it get health. And then all we simply need to do, as I mentioned, we just want to return the value of the health variable which we've set here. So we'll return health. So we've declared it as returning an integer, and we're passing an integer into it. What we can do from the other script is then, if we want to go and get that health, if we want to say what is the health at the moment, if we want to return that from this script, we can simply just go and get that with the find object of type, or there's various different ways you could call it, but we'll just do find object of type in this instance, and again we'll find the health script, and then we just want to call that function that we set up, which was get health. There we are. So we don't need to pass any arguments, any parameters into these. We're just simply calling this function, which returns the value of. Okay, so just so we can see that working. So we're calling the script and we're bringing this variable through, but we're not actually doing anything with it. So nothing will happen. So just so we can see that it's working, we'll just display it in the console. So if I set up a new private integer, we'll just call it new health, just to distinguish it from the one in the other script. We'll set new health equal to the value that we've just drawn through from that other script. So we pass that variable through, we're going to set it equal to our new variable, new health, and then if we just display it in the console, so we want to display new health in the console. So just before we run this, we're not calling this function anywhere, so it won't update the health. So in start, we'll just call hit, just so we can see that running. So if we run that now in Unity, just clear this, and if we check in the console, you should see, there we go. So it's displaying health. So we'd set the health at 100. It's passed it between the two scripts and is now displaying that health in the console. So there we go. That's two basic ways that you can pass variables between scripts in Unity. As I mentioned, you can do it with floats, bools, string, whatever type of variable you need to pass across. Use it in exactly the same way. You just declare the variables in the functions with whatever the type is.